Hi, Kirsten. Thank you so very much for this interview, for the opportunity to speak with you. Feels wonderful to be able to speak with you about A Course in Miracles, the spiritual path we both follow. And I also want to talk about your book, I Married a Mystic, and about your life, which you describe in your book. And I find that I have so many topics that I don't know where to start. So I think I start with the question, how is your life now? How does your life look now? Are you still only traveling around, or do you live somewhere? I know that your marriage with David has ended. Are you in another relationship? An update.
An update.
An update.
Okay. Well, my life now is it feels like an ebb and a flow, almost like the tide coming and going, of waves of times where I'm out on the road or teaching a lot or holding retreats, and then there's phases where it's very quiet and inward and more of a meditation vibe. And yeah, I'm based in Utah in the States, but the nature of my life is that it's quite hard to say that I'm located somewhere because I travel so much.
Yeah.
And so I'm just called to go and serve. And it's a surprise. It feels like an ongoing surprise of not knowing where I'm going to be in 6 months' time. And I think that has been part of Jesus's plan for me, to have me uproot from this world and have my sense of home and safety really firmly planted in God.
And not in a certain place where you live or where you come from. Yeah.
Or even what it'll look like, what I'll be doing. So I'm not in a relationship, officially in a relationship with a partner, but in spiritual community, it's like, you know, if you marry a husband or a wife, you realize that you marry their whole family. Sometimes after the marriage. It's a little the same with spiritual community. You're in relationship with everyone who's there because we share the same purpose, and there's prayerful guidance behind everything that we're involved in and doing. And so it is like being, it's not an isolated or independent journey at all. It's very much joined and collaborative in this ongoing guided collaboration.
Because it was funny, when I read your book with the title I Married a Mystic, I noticed that it is also about your relationship with David, but it's more about your relationship with yourself and with God. So for me, I read it that way. So I wondered, who is the mystic you married?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I think at first David definitely was the mystic, and Kirsten had a lot of undoing of self to go through. And so I think there were glimpses, for sure, at times where I felt that I am the same presence as David, that I amness, of course, is the same one. But then it's such a humbling, honest, authentic journey of admitting to myself that a lot of the time my mind was not at peace and was not still, and still did have desires for things of this world.
Yeah, you're very honest about that in your book. That's wonderful, because then we can recognize it. Yeah, we can recognize ourselves. Yeah. And because you write so honestly about the things you're still struggling with, like your body, sleep, your head injury, all those kind of things I recognize, but also about your family and your father. Does your father still live, by the way? Is he still alive? Yeah. And I just wondered, how is your relationship with him now?
Yeah. The last couple of calls we've had have been really joyful, very joyful. And so actually on the last trip I had back to New Zealand, my perception of him had shifted so much. He looked like a little boy to me, and I had this profound realization that the whole time, all he really wanted was to know that I knew that he loved me. And so my whole life he'd been trying so hard to hold on to me or control and play this father role. And I was resisting it and saying, you're trying to control me. I don't want it to be this way. And when I let it all go and completely healed, wanting anything from him, needing anything from him, trusting this journey with God for myself, then my perception of him shifted so much. And he was just innocence, pure innocence, and so adorable. So yeah, we have these beautiful calls now and again now, and they're just very light.
That's good to hear. I already thought that it would be like this now, but yeah. And the other question is, you write about undoing your mind, undoing the mind, which is a perfect expression in English. I think we cannot even translate it in Dutch in this way. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about this process of undoing the mind, and also about meditation? What is the part of meditation in this undoing the mind? What do you mean exactly by these words?
Yeah. Well, until you come into a spiritual journey, most of what we're learning and trying to achieve has this direction of self-improvement or learning something additional that I don't have, like building blocks. And in this world we become good at something, proficient, we learn more skills. Accumulated learning is a way to evolve. And on the spiritual journey it's the total opposite. It's actually a letting go, an unlearning.
Not doing.
It is. And it's a very deep process. It's so simple when we talk about it that way. Oh, just unlearn, reverse. But it takes so much faith and trust in the Spirit to say, can you show me the way? And to not use our past learning to direct us. And so one of the first steps that I found for myself was about asking for guidance. Instead of using my automatic, yes, I'll do it, yes, I know how, and going about it in my way, I would pause and pray and ask, even, is this what you would have me do? And then, how would you have me do it? And just leaving that space, in a way, is part of an undoing and an unlearning of who I am and how I've always done things. And then the Course in Miracles, it has this 365 page workbook with these lessons that are part of a thought reversal program that really do help you unlearn the way that you perceive and react and respond to the world and who you think you are in relation to it. So that in itself is an incredible program for supporting this turn of direction in our mind away from believing that I am a person in the world and I have to know what to do and make my life work out and make everyone around me happy.
That's also an important one.
It is.
The people pleasing.
Yes, yeah. Which is all part of maintaining this self, to redirecting all of that energy towards a practice of forgiveness, of really noticing motivation, noticing intention, and by noticing that and redirecting our thinking and prayer to the Spirit, and then coming from that place, that is how we also undo and unlearn this way of being that is not how we are as spirit. It's not how God created us to be.
Yeah. So you mentioned redirecting your thoughts. It's I don't know if it's in a book or in an interview that you tell that you first after you had this head injury that you meditated all the time for about almost 2 years, I think. And after that, the course came on your path. Meditating is more about just looking at your thoughts and becoming aware of them and trying to let them go. But the course maybe is more also about redirecting your thoughts and asking for guidance. And it sounded as if that was a very important next step for you. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you still have thoughts? Do you like, I want this or I need that, or are they slowly becoming less and less? What is your experience with that?
Yes, there's still thoughts.
Yeah.
And I would say the difference is that I'm not gripped by them.
Yeah, okay.
And if they, so there are more thoughts that may come and pass through, and if they're not thoughts that are clearly peaceful suggestions, then I simply know that they can just go past, like birds flying past.
Yeah.
But what I've found is because my mind is so aligned with wanting God's will, and my heart is so aligned truly with wanting to awaken, and that is my one desire, that what I noticed was that even the things that I wanted, they were actually God's will.
How surprising.
Yeah. And so it's been a very fun journey to shift it from seeing that, oh, my desires must be egoic, I shouldn't follow those. I know
that one.
To, okay, this is what I think I want, or this is a desire, and I went through a long process of, and I give it to you, Spirit.
Okay.
Allow them for sure, because there's always an impulse behind it. And if you don't know if it's the spirit or the ego, then the last thing we want to do is repress what we're feeling or wanting. We want to actually allow it and give it to the spirit and then be shown, is this
a good next step for me? Is this the meaning to be happening? Yeah, okay, that's you also write about guidance. I think that's in an interview that you tell this story about a man who had a mystical experience while driving a car, and he told you that he didn't notice driving the car at all for about 20 minutes, and so that he asked the question, well, I was totally guided in during that 20 minutes. You had to laugh because you said, well, we're always, who is driving this car?
The rest of the time.
The rest of the time. Which means that we're always guided. Which is a relief, because then we don't have to ask this question all the time. Am I doing the right thing? Is this guidance or isn't this guidance? But then the question also popped up with me, can it also be guidance, for example, when you shoot another person?
Right. Well, the point of guidance is to feel the connection with the spirit and to know that you're not alone. So the point of guidance is to experience there is no separation from God. And from that experience, then you do what you feel guided to do with that feeling of connection. And so I think the thing with the Course is that it takes you through a step-by-step process from believing you're a separate person and experiencing that. And we have to be so honest and authentic with ourselves around that experience and not try to leap to, it's all guided, I'm the Christ, I can do whatever I want. We have to be taken through this unwinding and this development of trust in the spirit to the point where this identification with the spirit becomes so solid and so strong that you can't leave it. It is who you are. And then the need for guidance falls away because you are the guidance. You are one with that spirit and that experience, and you cannot ever be apart from God. And yet the guidance still keeps coming because it's like there's this beautiful plan and the Spirit wants us to be happy all the time. And so this tuning into the Spirit and tuning into what would you have me do is just a way of aligning the mind with something higher than just, well, I can do anything and it doesn't matter what I do. It aligns with a sense of purpose, which is joyful, like knowing we have a purpose.
It's a lesson for today, I think, from the course. Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
My purpose and my happiness are one.
Yeah, that's it.
Or my function and my happiness are one. Yeah.
So it's a process of like, what is the guidance for? And the ego can get in there and say, you must get the guidance right.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
And it turns guidance into right and wrong.
Yeah.
And a threat, as if you get it wrong, you'll be guilty. Yeah. But the whole purpose of guidance is to know your innocence, to know that you're praying, to know that you're willing to listen and follow. And then in that listening and following, there are holy encounters, there's a deepening identification with Spirit, and you get to see where you seem to choose something egoic and feel the contrast. You know, or you can feel like you're off track. Yeah. But we have to keep bringing it away from behavior and back to the thoughts in the mind, and what is it that's deeper, what is it that's underneath that. And then what you do comes from what you think. So in answering your question about shooting someone, with the Holy Spirit guide that
question.
Well, in the manual for teachers, the characteristics of the teacher of God are laid out, and the first and very solid step is trust. And Jesus describes this long process that we go through in this development of trust, and he even says in there this can take a long time to go through these phases, especially the laying aside of judgment, of all judgment. And then there are these other characteristics that just seem to come, like joy, patience, tolerance, and honesty. And in there he describes honesty as being when your thoughts and your actions and your words all line up. That's honesty. You know, when you say what you mean what you say, you follow through, and nothing is out of alignment. You're in integrity with the Spirit. And so what would be the purpose of harming another body? If harmlessness comes from gentleness, comes from non-judgment, it must be that the mind would be out of integrity and out of alignment with perfect love to take actions and behaviors like that.
And feel separated. Otherwise, it's also impossible, I think, to harm another person.
Yeah.
And that's also a very basic difference between when you feel separated. When you feel separated, I think I understand that the guidance is always there, but you cannot experience it then when you feel separated. Yeah,
fear blocks the awareness of the Spirit's presence.
Yeah. Do you still experience fear?
Well, occasionally I might have a flutter of feeling, but it doesn't seem that I can identify that there's something I'm really afraid of happening. So it just indicates to me that there is a healing continuing.
Yeah, still going on.
Still going on. And then it just indicates prayer. Is there anything to see? Is there anything here that that there is to see or release?
Yeah. So it's also a stepping stone to become more and more clear about what's going on when you feel fear. To look at it. Yeah.
And I think when I've felt it a couple of times, I've gone into such deep states of meditation over these last couple of years where I've gone into a state at times where, there's that section in the Course, the self-concept, says there's nothing the world is more afraid to hear than I do not know the thing I am, where I am going, how to look upon myself or the world. And what I've discovered is that is actually my natural state of mind.
Not knowing
Not
where
knowing.
I am, where I'm going.
And I've had these mystical states that have gone on for a couple of months where I don't recognize hunger. I don't know my best interests, and I, like a child, am completely dependent on someone showing up saying, I think it's time that you eat now. Here's some scrambled eggs. You know, like a child, like a 3-year-old child.
Oh.
And I've happily just accepted everything that's been brought my way. And there were times when opening up to that experience where I could feel this fear of, oh, what if I need to know? What if... And I could see, I think it was a fear that maybe I wouldn't be taken care of, that God wasn't there.
Yeah.
And then I was shown in such a beautiful way, you know, you don't need to take thought for what you shall eat and what you shall wear and any of it.
It's all taken care of.
Yeah.
Through God, through people, working. God works through people. Wow.
Yeah.
And then when you're in a state like this for a month and you get out of it, do you get out of it in a way? That's what I hear you say. Is it hard or is it okay also?
Yeah, it feels, I don't know how to describe it really, but it just seems like an ongoing trust that these phases will come and then change. Actually, after that, I went to our center in Mexico, and after not being able to organize my own breakfast, I arrived at our spiritual center in Mexico and felt the guidance that I was going to be overseeing the place. And so that
Big
was...
step,
I know, it was amazing.
Yeah.
But what the learning was for me was I didn't have to do it in the old way.
Yeah.
Kirsten didn't have to learn it all, hold it in mind, and manage it.
Yeah.
I literally could allow all of the logistics to be like water just flowing through my mind. And I knew everything that I was to know, or it was known for me, through me. Because I think the fear after those kind of beautiful experiences are, oh, do I have to leave it and take care of the world again?
Exactly. Yeah.
And so being shown that I don't, I'm not responsible.
Well, I still have a few steps to make, but I'm longing for this also, for this experience also. Yeah. Wow. You write about sleep. That has been a big theme for me also. It's now really getting better. But you write about your struggle with that you have then. That you did have it then. I think you don't have that struggle anymore.
No,
it's gone. And when I hear you like now, do you find that you need less sleep, or is it just taken care of? What is your how do you experience that? And also your bodily situation.
I still generally sleep around 7 hours.
Okay.
Or so.
Yeah.
I think the main difference is that the purpose that, as I described in the book, the purpose of sleep for me was escape from this mind and this world and to have time out. And so I valued it highly and had a lot of protection around it and associations of sleep with energy, that I needed the sleep to have the energy to deal with this world. No.
I never think that. I start to become in a situation of trust, but Oh, this is so very. I recognize this very much. Very strongly. So that's what. So it had a totally different purpose then for you.
And now it's more of a consistent awareness of a state of mind that through forgiveness can be at peace all the time. And so the peace that I can experience awake can be so beautiful and so restful. And so that need for that peace during sleep just gently was washed as the forgiveness really took care of the ego and that strain and struggle in the mind. So I think it was a washing away, as well as the willingness to look at and question the stronghold that I had and those beliefs.
What was this? What
What
did I believe? What do I believe?
And value it for,
Makes me silent. One more question that popped up is that, and that's also because you describe your relationship with David, and I wondered, does sex fit in a holy relationship? Can it be holy?
Yeah, it can be part of a relationship. Yeah. I think again it comes down to purpose.
Yeah, it's of course it's with everything it's the same.
Yeah, it is. It is.
All these subjects, but still, sex seems to be so connected with egoic desires.
Yeah, so it's a good area for healing.
Yeah.
And if it's being used for healing in that way, to see and to notice and to bring prayer and attentiveness into watching and looking at the motivation moment by moment, then it's an area where there can be a lot of healing and facing the real fear of intimacy.
Exactly.
Which is daring to truly be, naked.
And vulnerable and
vulnerable
open
and
not knowing.
And revealing what is felt in the moment. So
that's also like what you said with sleep. Sleep can also be such a strong mechanism of withdrawing. Separate need, thinking that you need some space for yourself.
Oh yeah.
And making the separation and the feeling of separateness bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
So that's what really became more clear for me by reading your honest description of your own struggle with these things, with these subjects.
Yeah.
And you also write, of course, about illness, about being ill. And about the fact that you see pain with other people and you project that pain onto your body, and that makes you feel the pain or feel ill. I think you write that when you don't believe in these thoughts of pain anymore, then you don't have to become ill anymore. And I understand that the way the Course means illness is not physically, but more in the mind. But do you also mean that you don't get ill physically anymore, or that you don't feel pain anymore, or that you don't get a flu or anything?
Yes, the description of sickness that Jesus has is that it is function unfulfilled. Sickness is function unfulfilled. Our function is forgiveness, and our function and our happiness are one. So when we get sick and we identify ourselves as sick, then we really do believe we're separate and we're a body, because only the body can be sick. Yeah. And what I noticed for myself was that I got sick or had the symptoms of pain or flu, for example. And when I had those, I would stop and pray and look and ask, what am I avoiding?
In your function.
In your function, yeah. Because when I am aligned with the Spirit and I'm being used fully for the purpose of healing and communication, the body functions perfectly and there is no pain. There's not even really an awareness of the body. You're just in the Spirit and you're in your communication function, or you're so focused on thoughts and forgiveness that you're not focused on the body.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So it's just an immediate prompt, really, to turn the thinking away from the body, because when you start to get sick symptoms, the ego part of the mind immediately goes to protection and healing and finding the cure and wanting to fix it as soon as possible, because the body is so valuable as our home. And so this reversal to say, whoa, I must be avoiding you somehow. I must be afraid of the truth somewhere in my mind. Help me remember. Help me see what I've avoided. I want to serve you. I want to forgive anything that's here in my mind right now. And then I could see whatever it was. And I've had amazing, miraculous experiences where symptoms disappeared instantly. Or if not, if they took a little longer, my mind was resurrected. The sparkle was back in my eyes. And then maybe there was still some symptoms.
Yeah, they needed
the body was catching up.
Yeah.
But it didn't matter. My focus was not, I was not afraid and concerned and thinking about the body anymore. My attention was back on the spirit.
Yeah. And that's also what the Course means by being healthy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Because what I notice is that it's a little bit a tricky topic. In the spiritual world, you find sometimes that people say, "Well, yeah, oh, you're sick or you have cancer. Oh, that's your own fault." And that's something that really hurts me when that happens. And then I think it's the ego who uses, of course, who is giving this condemnation of the other person. I have the same experience, more or less, that you describe, and I find it very, very, well, it makes me very joyful. But still, I see that some people who are really, in a way, really healthy in their mind, can be ill in their body. Is that possible, or do you think that it's not possible in a way that you have cancer but you are totally forgiven? You've forgiven everything, every thought.
Well, I love the parable about Ramana Maharshi, when towards the end of his life, we know he's eternal. He's an eternal being. Yeah. But when the body started to disintegrate and fade away and was about to pass away, some said he had cancer. But if you look in his eyes, no. Was he identified with the body with cancer? No. No. So it's all about identification and what is believed. And you bring up a really good point around the condemnation and blame, because that does not help with healing at all, to say this is my fault. No. Yeah. And yet that the direction for the mind for healing is the right direction. So if you believe in cancer and you believe that you have cancer, then that's something to practice forgiveness with. What is cancer? What does that actually mean? To look so deeply into the inner inquiry of who believes in cancer and what do you need to be to have cancer. And when it comes right down to that identification, that's when the choice can be made. Who am I? Who do you say that I am in this moment? Am I a body with cancer? Or am I spirit? And I want help to continue to heal whatever symptoms may appear as a reflection just of the mind that's calling for healing. And that takes all the parameters off, because we've all heard of so many miraculous, spontaneous healings.
That's true.
But if your mind's locked in to a perception and a belief in a concrete way, that's not a miraculous attitude. The miraculous attitude is, I don't know how this is going to be healed, but I'm open to a total shift, and then a reflection and form of a total shift.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, another term you use is undo the doer. Well, the doer is something that is also very common, very that I know very well. But you describe doing is coming out of guilt, trying to do everything perfectly, trying to do as much as possible so that you don't feel guilty and that you don't feel that you need to be punished. And it's also connected with false empathy, as you write it, huh? Trying to be taking care of other people and getting your identity from that. Can you tell us something about your process in undoing the doer?
Sure. Yeah. And this really is the spiritual journey, is undoing this self that believes it is doing.
Yeah.
And
to start with.
That I can do. I know how to do. I know what to do. And somehow allowing this transformation to take place, to open up to allowing ourself to be done through by the Spirit. And so it's so humbling. It's such a humbling journey to realize that all of the past learning that we have, our ways of doing things, if it's a way that it can bump up against something else, then it's part of maintaining a sense of a self concept. This is how I do it. This is what I need to do. Yeah.
This is how it needs to be done.
And this is how it needs to be done. Yeah. And so it in so many different ways it gets undone. I think in my book I described even with the bathroom, finding myself in the shower and feeling this intensity, feeling this rush and this push. I need to shower, I need to shave my legs, I need to, and this feeling of anxiety and tension. And when I was in the shower in that moment and I stopped and asked, what is this for? What am I doing this for? This can't be God's will for me in this moment. It does not feel peaceful. And then I looked at what I was doing and realized how ridiculous it was. It was the middle of winter and I was shaving my legs and I was in a partnership with a mystic who just wouldn't even know the difference. So who am I doing that for? And this is, it's part of this identity that gets so fixed into what it thinks it needs to do to keep itself going. And they're not questioned. And they're not bringing us joy. It's not the Spirit's flow. So step by step, noticing and asking that question, what is this for? And being willing to let go. And then face the fear that's underneath it. And the control that's underneath it.
Because who am I if I'm not doing anything?
Yeah. And if I let go of caring.
What will happen?
What will happen?
What will happen?
Yeah. So it's a journey of being shown that it's safe to let go of this state of mind that feels responsible and does a lot of the time just out of habit based on unconscious beliefs. And so by raising them up to the light and letting the light in, then we can let the Spirit's guidance show us what is our joy, what would the Spirit have us be doing to be connected moment by moment. So
it's that was one thing that I also wrote in my questions, because I have I just moved over here to Haarlem, and I have two cats, and one of my two cats started to chase after a tail after the movement, the moving in. And I kept wondering, what is this? And I tried all kind of things, of course, and I went to the vet, but just I think after reading your book, and also you write also about your cats, I suddenly thought, well, of course, I'm one with my cat. That was the first realization, and then I also felt, well, I also have to stop chasing my tail. So now every time she does it, I just stop with whatever I'm doing. And sit down and become quiet and turn inwards. And so she's really helping me on this process of undoing the doer. Because I notice also that she starts doing it when I'm like, okay, I have to do this and I have to do that. And So it's just such a gift that she's giving, and it's not always working, not yet, but most of the times we are there together, becoming totally quiet. And sometimes I'm just sitting on the stairs or on, in the strangest places in the house. Just stop
with
now.
her.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, Fleur.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a section in the course, I need do nothing.
Yeah, the first time I read that made me so happy, and I couldn't believe it. Also, a part of my mind.
Yeah, that is God's will for us. It's that we come inward to this still, quiet place, and He says, from there, from I need do nothing, you will be sent on many busy doings. And that's the truth. Like when you're actually still and you're willing to be an instrument for God's peace, there's so much that the Spirit would have us do, to be in our joy, to give, to serve, to offer, to be a miracle worker. Yeah. And yet, if we're running around in this doer state of mind, we're not able to be a miracle worker. No. We're not available. We're actually cut off from being a helper for the Spirit. So it's very, very important to continue to be willing to drop it. Yeah. To actually let go. Yeah. And put this priority of I want to be with you and I'm willing to be in the stillness, and then from there know that you will show me the way. Yeah. And then sometimes I notice that my mind still thinks, okay, then I go further after this period of time with my initial plan. Yeah. But sometimes I find that I can really let go. And that's wonderful. Yeah. Yeah, we're coming to an end of the interview. I have still two questions. One is, if you can give us a tip, as the students of the course, the most important step to make, or the most important decision to make, or the most important thing to understand, what would be your tip? To know that God loves you. That's it. To know that God's will truly is our happiness, and that this belief and sacrifice is of the ego. Yeah. And that's what's being healed from the mind. And so the journey of saying yes to God will bring up this belief and sacrifice, but the journey itself is one of receiving. It's receiving more from God, more peace, more awareness of love, more support than we could ever imagine. Yeah. He wants to take care of everything for us. And so to continue to put that first and dare to trust and be shown that it's not a letting go in the sense of losing. It's a give it over. Yeah. Give it over to the Spirit and say, you show me if this is really helpful for me on my journey. Use it for your purposes, rather than thinking I have to give everything up. Yeah. It's more I have to give everything over, so that there is one purpose for my life, and it's all to support awakening. Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah, I think maybe that's also the answer on my last question, which is, if you could make a phone call with your 12-year-old self, what would you tell her? That's a beautiful question. 12-year-old self. It's safe. Yeah. Life is safe. The world is safe. You are safe. Yeah. It's all going to work out just fine. Thank you. Thank you.